Hello and welcome to episode 61 of Focus on Gaming podcast. I am Duncan and I'm here with Tom.
Tom, as always.
And no Martin this week. He's busy, unfortunately. I think there's only going to be one main topic this week because predictions were right. There was a reveal.
It was.
The PS5 Pro is coming this November.
It is.
And it's the specs are as were leaked.
Impressive, really.
Yeah, I mean, we could go through that before the big talking points. I mean, they're mainly focused on the upgraded GPU because the CPU, I believe, is the same.
Yeah.
They upgraded the GPU to 67% more computer units.
Yeah, 45%
faster
larger,
memory.
apparently.
Yes. Then it's got advanced ray tracing, and they've got their own AI-driven upscaling. So, do you want to say what it's called 10 times fast?
No.
PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. PlayStation. It's a bit of a tongue twister. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. So upscaling, so you'll be able to get pretty higher frame rate, basically, without much extra power being used. So that was
really see the difference on their videos. Could you?
Yeah, there was quite a few memes straight away of people squinting and looking at the videos. And at the end of the day, this is what we're going to get into. I think is how much worth it is. It is worth. And I think, I think we're going to have lots to say. Not a lot of it great. It is better. It is better. There's no doubt about it. It's more powerful in terms of graphical fidelity. It doesn't really add anything.
No.
There wasn't any reveal of any games that take special advantage of it. It is just literally things will have better graphics. So if you use the quality mode on games like
Spider-Man 2,
they use an example they used in their presentation, or I can imagine things like Cyberpunk will look quite nice. In terms of specs, it's still not a high-powered PC. It's still not. If you're going to have a Ryzen 9 or a Intel 9, i9 or Core 9, whatever they call them nowadays, with a 4090, then you're still going to have more power.
But you're going to pay more for it.
Yeah. And you're going to pay more. Apparently, it's the equivalent to about AMD 7700 XT, which is a good card, and I think in the £500 range.
It's a mid-range gaming PC, I would say. Is that right?
It's that GPU is a higher end, but it's not a high end one. So it's mid to high. It's a good card.
I think for console gaming, I think the PlayStation 5 brand is the most expensive release of any era.
The PlayStation 5. Oh no, the PS3. PS3 was
is the most expensive console, but when you add on
the refreshes,
when you add on the machine, the VR, the TV remote.
Yes, well, we should specify as well. This is a diskless 2 terabyte machine, and also if you want to put it on its end, that will be another $30. I don't know what that is in pounds yet. Probably is £30 as well. And if you want a disc, that's £100, please. So if you want a standing on its end disked PS5 Pro, it will cost you £830 or $830.
It's a separate unit, isn't it? Well, the disk drive.
Yes, the disk drive is a separate unit. So, God.
Imagine the days of the Xbox 360 with a DVD drive.
Well, just said the price, isn't it? And that is the big talking price.
Yeah.
$700, £700, €799, I think.
Yeah. Add the VR in, that's another 400.
So I think last week we were talking about the PS5 Pro, and I said, "Oh, it's rumored to be £600 to £650." And I said, if it's £650, why would you do that? That's expensive.
Yeah.
And then they come out, they're like, "Yeah, hold my beer. Here's a discless, put on its endable console that's £700."
I suppose look at it this way. If you are a gamer who owns a high-end 4K TV,
An
and
OLED as well.
OLED as well, yeah, and if you can spend that money on the TV, you'll spend it on the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, it's for me. All it is, it's a brag.
Yeah,
that's what a PS5 Pro is. A PS5 is somebody who thinks that wearing big jangly gold chains is like everybody looks at them and thinks they're really cool and rich.
Yeah,
it's the kind of person who sits on somebody else's Ferrari and then goes, "Look at my expensive car." It's that kind of person.
Interestingly, though, the spectral resolution thingamajigamy
Yeah,
will not work on the PlayStation VR 2 at launch.
no.
So that's coming in the future. But it will upscale older games as well.
Yeah.
But
The hardware is not a problem. For £700, the hardware is not a problem for me. Yeah. People who say, "Oh, yeah, but you can't get that hardware," that's fine. But then don't do that hardware. Do instead of 67% more compute units, do 40% and save £20 there. Do instead of 45% more power and do 20% more power. Do it so that you can get more frames per second. So it I know runs cooler, so it's quieter. I don't know how loud the PS5 is, but do it so that people can either pay an extra £100 or maybe reduce the original one and go, here's a new one. You can pay the same price. But at the end of the day, it's £479, the current PlayStation 5, the full price.
Yeah.
And so this is an extra £220. And that's
without that extra £270, you are getting value, I feel.
In terms of hardware, yeah.
And it will sell.
But
it's going to sell.
Yeah.
The PlayStation is
it will sell because I think what they've done as well is a thing with a lot of retail is that they will go, "Look at this really expensive thing that we got. It's super duper, whether it's a packet of crisps. Look at these lovely packets of crisps. They are £4 a packet." And what they do is they create about 2 of those and send them out to the shops. The shops sell out of them. They don't have any more because all the shop is doing is making the £1.50 pack of, or the Walkers or whatever, making the £1.50 pack look really cheap. Because people are like, "But I really like this £1.50 pack. I will buy more of them," not knowing that for that same packet they were paying £1 6 months earlier. But they're now like, "Oh, £1.50 is really cheap because there's a £4 packet."
Yeah,
and it's almost like that's what they're doing. They go, "Look, you could be paying £700 for a console," and people will buy it. Some people will.
Early adopters will pay the full price.
Yeah, and people who maybe somebody who hasn't bothered upgrading and has got money to burn, kind of thing. If you're rich, then why not? I mean, £700 isn't that much to somebody who has a 6-figure salary, kind of thing. So why not?
But are the console makers now missing the point that people don't have the money they did when the PlayStation 3 came out, and maybe the PlayStation 4, and maybe yes, it's selling like hotcakes. Don't get me wrong, but we are seeing layoffs. We're seeing cutbacks, and is the next stage of things that consoles are going to start to sell less?
I think that the hardware is gone are the days where Sony, Xbox, and the like will lose money on hardware. That went a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think that's why the Xbox Series X and the PS5, diskless and full one, were the price they were.
Yeah.
So
I have one sitting in front of me.
yes, I think this is it's a bit tone deaf from Sony, but at the same time, this is Sony going, no, this is the norm now.
Yeah.
This, if you want it, if you want something that's better than a PC, because also if you go back 10 years, you could buy a PC, a high end PC, easily for less than £1,000. If you want a high end PC now, you are looking at well over, I mean, possibly up to £2,000 for the GPU.
Yeah.
If you want a 4090, I don't know the exact prices, but I think they're at least sort of £1,200-1,300 just for the GPU. And then if you're doing that, you've got to have a decent processor that's going to cost hundreds of pounds.
Thing is, with PC gaming, I love it, don't get me wrong, and I'm with you, but 6 months down the line, your machine's out of date.
Yeah. Oh, I think you should never scrimp on a PC. Don't buy these no-name brands off AliExpress kind of thing. But at the same time, get something that's, say at the moment, like you've got Intel 14th gen. So buy 12th or 13th gen that are being sold off.
Yeah.
Because they will still be fine. I mean, I'm sitting here now on a computer that it has a 12th gen i7. But it's got a 1070 in it. So, God knows, what's that, 5 years ago? If it's, I mean, the 5000 series is going to be released at some point, I think, this year. So it's 4 or 5 years old, and it's still fine. I mean, I've run Starfield on it. Granted, I have to turn it down if I want it to run at 1080p, so it runs on low. But other than that kind of AAA, very modern game that uses a lot, not a problem. So you don't have to pay that. If you can get, I mean, especially if you get secondhand, if you have £700, get either a secondhand PC that for £700 you will easily get a decent one that will keep up with a PS5. And maybe a PS5 Pro-ish kind of thing, or just get a mid-range one, that's a £200 graphics card, whether that's again new or second-hand. That's your biggest expense with a PC is getting your graphics card.
Yeah.
So get a new CPU, get a second-hand graphics card. Now, granted, second-hand, you don't have a warranty. And somebody may have absolutely rinsed it, not kept it cool and whatnot, but it's still a lot cheaper. So you're saving money by but losing those kind of things.
Never been a PC gamer personally. There's only one game I've ever played on PC, and I do that on a laptop. So I've always been a console man. So
I like the adaptability of it, the fact that you can mod games that aren't meant to be modded.
there is that.
Granted, it also means that other people can cheat. A lot of games have a lot of cheating in them. But nowadays, with server-based games, it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Because it used to be, you'd have games that all the servers had cheaters. It didn't matter what you did; there was people cheating.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's it's a common sight seeing someone to cheat in a lot of games, but it's equally you just find a new game and generally you'll be all right.
Yeah, I was saying like a lot of people do that with the iMacs now as well. They'll go and buy like a 3-generation old iMac for like under £500 because it's just as good in terms of functionality as the new one, but the specs are lower, obviously, because they're dated.
If you think about it like this, if you pick up a PS3 or an Xbox 360, Are you going to go, oh my God, those graphics are ugly? Or are you going to go, not bad? Because the generational leap in the last, well, Xbox 360 was, 2006? So in the last 18 years has been tiny compared to going from the SNES to the N64 and the PS1 to PS2.
True.
And I mean, even now, from the PS4 to the PS5, this is why we've got so many games from the previous generation that have been remastered, because all it's basically done is give it a bit better resolution and a bit better frame rate.
Now with the PS5 Pro specs being that much higher, the jump to the PS6 is either going to be a completely different product or it has to go photorealism. It has to go that high. The jump has to be massive.
Well, if you look at some mods now for games like Cyberpunk, that the graphics pretty much are almost looking photorealistic. It's more about the backgrounds and like puddles and weather effects and lighting. And if you look at games that have ray tracing mods on them, and I think what's the other one called, path tracing. The lighting does make all the difference between the realism and the one thing that takes you out of it a lot of the time is actually the characters. So it's people.
Yeah.
Because people don't look realistic. So that's why things like Senua's Saga was so brilliant. I mean, that is the standard I hold everything to in terms of photorealistic graphics.
And
I literally thought it was a movie intro, and when it just stopped doing anything, I suddenly realised I could control this, and I actually thought it was still a movie. And every time I went to a new area, I was just sort of jaw dropping. Wow! And you can play this on the Xbox Series X.
What was it?
Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga.
That was it.
It's by Ninja Theory, and I mean it was actually quite short. It was only about, I think it took me about 7 or 8 hours, maybe 9, to complete.
Yeah,
and it's a lot more. The puzzles were simpler than the first one, but still very good. And if a mid life cycle refresh came around for Xbox, the only thing they'd be able to do with that would be ray tracing, really, and maybe a higher frame rate, because I think it was 30 frames. But if a 30 frames per second game is programmed well, or developed well, the 30 frames per second isn't that bad. It's only when games are poorly optimized that makes a difference. Because there was a game I played, it was on Game Pass, the book something or other. I can't remember what it was, but it was 2 bits, like a isometric 2D bit and a first person bit, and the first person bit was such a low frame rate. It did almost make me feel sick. It sort of gave me a motion sickness. Didn't like it at all.
I get that on racing games on VR.
Oh yeah.
I'm
just having a look at the games on Browse All Games. Here we go. I'm going to just type in books, see if it's still on there. No games found. Oh.
I suppose that brings us on to you mentioned about the Xbox and where they go with it, like with the ray tracing and stuff like that. I suppose that brings us on to our next topic, where Xbox and the Microsoft have laid off more employees. Now I think we're up to, is it 2,000? It's quite high. So
this one time they've laid off 650. I didn't actually see where they've actually kicked them out of. I haven't been up today because this has only happened today, really, hasn't it? But But yeah, I think their first layoffs was something like 1,200 or 1,100.
Yeah, so it's
Was it
2,500 in 2024 alone. Now, the interesting thing we've mentioned this before, but we thought it was interesting to bring up, especially with the release of the PS5 Pro, is whether Microsoft is repurposing the Xbox brand to become more like a Steam type service.
There has been a new development sort of thing, which sort of is and sort of isn't a development. Is that the AMD have revealed their Z2 Extreme processor, and apparently Xbox were there having a good old look, and there's rumours that is the processor that is going to be used for the Xbox handheld.
Yeah.
So whether or not that is going to be part of a handheld, I think that says something about the fact that it ain't coming out anytime soon.
No. But I think we mentioned before the show, didn't we, that, or I certainly mentioned about whether if they can do something that allows them to supersede the Steam Deck, which is quite easily, because obviously the Steam Deck tech is quite old now, and with the onset of the the Switch 2, if they can supersede the technology in that with a 4-stroke 8K dockable unit to play it out 4K on TV, but then handheld everywhere else with a digital game store, it's a win-win. It makes sense. They haven't won a console generation for a long time.
Yeah, so, they can't go full Steam, as in just become a store, because at the end of the day, they've tried that with Windows. They tried to become the main. I mean, literally, they have a store built into the operating system, and they still couldn't do it. Mostly because they made it their own version, this Universal Windows system or whatever it's called, this UWS, and people were like, no thanks, because that's a completely different way of how PC games work. So
and it's clunky and it's slow.
Yeah, so any mods that work on one don't work on this, and then you've got cheats as well. Cheats, they might not work on this, but they work on this. They basically wanted to make it a closed system, and PC people are very defensive about it being an open system. And Steam has made a success, even with the ease that you can pirate. You can pirate so easily on PC, and people don't. I don't. I've got over 1,000 games on Steam, and I know how to pirate games. I'm well versed in finding and knowing how to check that they're virus free and all this kind of thing. I know that, and there are still very easy just websites where you can one click, boom, downloaded a game. There are things that you could set up to be almost like Steam, where you have a thing installed and it will install games like Steam. There are those things out there. Obviously, won't give any links out or names, but they're not hard to find.
I think the Xbox brand may be treated differently to what they've done with Windows, though. I think they know that people like it a certain way. And if you're going to release a handheld, you're going to offer the streaming and you're going to offer the storefront. I mean, that's inevitable.
But they've got to make it open to everything as well. It's got to have a desktop experience as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the top, but underneath it's got to be a PC. And that's what's made Steam Deck successful.
It's got to be dockable.
People have gone, oh my God, I can do what I want on this. Yeah. But I won't, because that is the Steam, skin is so easy to use that anybody can use it. I can give it to my 6-year-old and he can find a game, play it, not a problem.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't, because it's a bloody expensive handheld and he's 6. Get your bloody grubby hands off my Steam Deck. No, he does play a game occasionally, but only under supervision, because he calls his retro handheld his MIDI Steam Deck, because yeah, it's his, and he's allowed to play whatever he wants on it. So, yeah, he loves it. Still going through. He's still going through Pokemon. I think Red.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of those. I can't remember which one he said he was playing. But yes, and when he's not playing that, he's playing Sonic. And he's got used to save states. But anyway, yeah. So a handheld from Xbox has to be open. They can have the Windows Store and Game Pass and everything front and center and go, here you go. Have Game Pass really easily. You can install this game. You can install that game with one tap or button press, no problem. But they have to have an option going, you want Windows? Okay, here's Windows.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, it's just obvious, but I think I can't see them producing another boxed console like we have now. I think it would make no sense to do that based on the investment.
Unless they made a streaming box. They've given up a streaming stick.
Yeah.
And they have made the deal with Amazon. So you can, if you've got the most recent 4K stick, because my 4K stick doesn't work. But anyway, if you've got a 4K stick, you can play Game Pass. There was rumours at one point that Xbox were trying to cozy up to Valve to make Game Pass available through Steam, so you'd be able to get the Steam games. And basically, I presume Steam would go, okay, then, well, for everybody, every download you pay us, or for every person that connects their two accounts to Steam and Xbox, you pay us a certain amount. I don't know how it would work, but I think the problem with that is that Gabe Newell hates Microsoft because he worked for them, and he hates Windows with a passion, and he hates.
It's never going to happen.
So, but at the end of the day, not the best businessman, but he's a businessman, and I think Phil Spencer is part of the new brand compared to when he was with Windows. I don't know whether he worked for Microsoft or whether he worked on Windows, one of the two, but it wasn't a pretty divorce, I don't think.
Yeah, I can't see it ever happening. I really can't.
No, it's got to be financially viable for everybody. Yeah. So Steam in terms of server maintenance and all this kind of thing, and then also the monetary loss from sales. But at the same time, they don't have a subscription model. And if Microsoft came along and said, for everybody that downloads a game, we will give you, I don't know, 50 pence a month. And they get 10 million people going, oh, yeah, I'll connect my Steam account. That's, what is that? That's £5 million a month.
They don't have a subscription model yet.
They don't. But at the same time, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
But if they said to people, okay, look, we'll put ads at the front of your game or whatever in return for you adding it on, and we'll pay you ad revenue.
Yeah, at the moment, people can put ads in their games if they want already. Generally, they get slated for it, but no, I think you're right with Xbox though. I think they're slowly going. We don't want another, or we've lost the hardware.
It makes no sense. Absolutely makes no sense.
I think the main problem with Xbox at the moment that everybody's frustrated with is that they're not. It's pick a lane, bud.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going software only? Are you doing a handheld? Are you going? Actually, no. We've got the Xbox 592 XB2. Why?
But I wonder. See, there's that old adage that says there's no bad press. And the more people talk about where they're going, what they're doing, and the layoffs and everything else, the more they're drawing people into the Xbox brand. However, if you have not got a focus core to your business, people are not going to chance buying the console because they're not sure what's coming.
People
And I
aren't
think
going
it
to buy
hurts
if people right now hear the rumors that they are not going to have hardware. People are not going to buy an Xbox.
Yeah.
They're not even going to buy an Xbox Series S because what they're going to think is that they're going to leave the hardware, they're going to shut down their store, and that's it. Yeah. I'd love that if they did the same as Google because I would get God knows how much money back because Google repaid for all the games that you bought.
And Stadia was so good.
Yeah, and the tech behind Stadia, I think it really should have been that Microsoft should have gone to Google. Oh, you're getting out, are you? We will buy your tech, and then just completely replace xCloud. I mean, xCloud for me works perfectly fine.
Yeah,
but there was no doubt that Stadia was the superior tech.
Stadia was better than Game Pass in terms of tech and streaming quality, and the controller.
Well, Xbox Cloud Gaming.
Yeah, and the controller is by far the best controller I've ever used on any system.
Tell you what, one thing that I always like about the controller is that it feels heavy.
Feels great,
but not heavy as in oh my god I can't hold this kind of thing. But it just felt thick, even though it actually wasn't. It wasn't.
You have the white one or the dark one?
The white one.
Yeah,
I got it was like free with a Chromecast, I think.
I got it with YouTube Premium.
Yeah,
and
I had a friend who bought one of the Founders editions. He got one free, and I think he got another one for something else, maybe YouTube Premium. And he had bought a load of games. So when the Stadia closed down, he got something like £500. Because the day one, I think originally was about £130. I think the Founders edition. So just that, he got a load of money. I think I bought one game as like a test. It was about £3 or something.
That's what I had.
So I got £20 or £30 back, which was nice. But
I think if they'd have charged a subscription model like Game Pass
absolutely,
now, they would have it.
Yeah, it was so surprising when Stadia came out and they went, "Yeah, we're just going to sell games," and everyone went, "You sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to?" Because Xbox are do this thing. Have you seen what Xbox are doing? Problem is with that is that Xbox have the relationship with the developers and the publishers. Google didn't.
No.
And so Google would have had to start from scratch with a couple of. But that's all they had to. I mean, that's all Xbox did though to start with.
They should have partnered with Steam.
They had 9 games. Xbox did, I think it was, when Xbox Cloud Gaming's first. It was a test, and it was great. It was like, oh, I can play any of these games. And then when they released it, I think there was something. I can't remember, but it was only something like 50. I think now there's something like 400 games you can play, mainly because they got EA Play in it as well.
Yeah, true. I think they should have partnered Steam with Stadia. That would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, Google would have had to say we'll give you some of the money because otherwise, Steam would have been like, yeah. So you want us to let people not buy games? No.
I think they should have then Google could have done the subscription model.
Yeah, and then they give Steam money.
Yeah, and then Google could have put the ads somehow around the outside of the gaming screen or some loading thing. I don't know.
The problem is for Steam, and this is what the problem GeForce Now had, is that when you sign up you put your game onto Steam, you sign a contract. And your contract says that you allow us to put it for download and and all this kind of thing. And there will be nothing on there to say. There'll probably be something on there saying that we have a streaming service for hardware like Steam Link basically to stream from one device to another. But they don't have a cloud streaming part of the contract.
Yeah.
So even Steam would have to then change their contract for anybody for any new games. And when somebody signs up, it would either be, do you want to be on this subscription and get this much money for every play that you get, or do you want to have or just have a blanket. If you go onto Steam, you will be on this service.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could do that, oh well. Number one, it would probably, yeah, it would have to be expensive, I think, because then again, I'm looking at things like Spotify where people allow their music and whatnot, and they just have a certain amount of profits, and then they go, right, this has been played 1% of the time, so you get 1% of this money. This has been You've got 0.00001% of the time plays, so you get 0.00001% of the money. And so it will be games that people play.
Yeah.
So that would be a possibility.
I don't think you'll
I
ever
think
see
Steam
Google.
would have to do their own one. I think.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable they'll do it at some stage, but I can't see them Google ever getting back into gaming. Yeah.
No, Google will carry on being Google, won't they? They'll keep releasing things and then killing them off.
Google throw things to the wall and see what sticks.
But then sometimes things stick and they still get rid of them.
Well, I mean, the one that gets on my nerves is that they haven't got one messenger service does it all. They've got like 5. I just want one messenger service, and I'd like you to combine text messaging with that service, as well as video and audio and everything else, and that'll do. I don't need anything else.
So what you're saying you want is ICQ from the 90s and the 2000s.
Well, yeah, you've got Google Talk, Google Chat,
Is
Duo.
Google Talk still around? Duo still around?
Yeah. What's the other one?
Hangouts shut down, didn't it?
Hangouts shut down. You've got the video one, the business one.
Google Meet.
Google Meet. I mean, and then you've got Messages, which has got the secure messaging thing. I mean, just Google, just combine everything together, give us one service, and everyone will be like applauding you. That's it. No one wants all this crap, you know?
So you got Google Talk. 5 choices. So you got Gmail, Google Chat, Google Meet, Messages, and Google Voice.
Yeah. And inside Gmail, there's a chat as well.
I remember there used to be. I mean, there's the website, isn't there, about what Google's killed? And there were some brilliant things there. I can't remember some of. There was one that you could have collaborative documents and stuff like that, and
that was brilliant.
Yeah, I really liked that as well. It was really good that you could just type and literally live people could help you type something.
Yeah. That was one of the best things they ever released.
What did Google? I can't remember what it was.
It's a bit it was like Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, it was an early version of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes what they actually do is they get these things, get the tech behind it, and then they go, "Oh yeah, we're killing this off because a lot of the time they can sell this tech, or there's just no money in it. They don't want to put ads on the top of things." And
it was just such a great product, and I remember I had an invite for Gmail very early on, and because of that, I got an invite for that service.
Was that when it was Google Mail?
Yes. Yeah. And
I remember for years it was Google Mail, but it was still Google Mail in the UK for I think at least a year or two after it changed to Gmail. Because I heard this the other day. Do you know what was originally gmail.com? It was Garfield Mail. And apparently it was a thing where Garfield, like people on a Garfield fan page or something, could message each other. So it was originally Garfield Mail.
I love it. Well, the product you were talking about was called Google Wave, and essentially it was a live emailing system, which you could then interact with docs and things like documents and spreadsheets, and you could do a combined project, and it had spelling and grammar check-in, automatic language translation. It's actually been combined into Google Documents and Gmail. So the service is still there. It's just not it's not Google Wave per se, but it was a fantastic product.
Yeah.
It really was.
Sort of
Used it a lot.
got into tech a bit. Well, yeah, I can't remember what it was. Google killed apps. What's it called? What's the? Oh, blimey! Hang on.
What?
I'll just.
It's called the killedbygoogle.com.
That's the one. Killedbygoogle.com. It's so big, so big. Oh yeah, because one that's been recently, VPN by Google One, was I had that on my phone because I've got the cloud storage by Google, and now they've killed it off. You could get, if you've got a Pixel phone, you can get the Pixel VPN. But I've recently swapped my Pixel for a Samsung, so I don't have that anymore.
I've got Pixel and the VPN service. Yeah, you can use it. It's free.
On the VPN on Pixel, you can use it for free. Chromecast is another one recently that they've killed.
Still works.
You can. It's still basic. It's all they're doing is they're replacing the Chromecast dongle with a
set box.
And so it's not really the Chromecast. It's just the Chromecast name really is going.
The Chromecast still works. They're not. I mean, it will always have the functionality. They're not killing it. They're just not selling it. So, although
eventually, all they have to do is make the setup really almost impossible. Because I recently got rid of a first gen Echo, an Echo Plus, and tried to log on to it so I could reset it. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, well, it's the same with Google Glass. You can't log on any longer. So
yeah.
So
where did this all come from? This all came from Xbox, didn't it?
Yeah. So damn you, Microsoft! Damn you.
Yeah, they're not quite as bad as Google in terms of killing things off, but yeah, I think they are heading towards. And like you said, there isn't going to be an out of the box console. I don't think there will be, but a Switch Steam Deck hybrid. Where it has their first party games, but still is an open PC.
Yeah.
Oh God, it makes me fearful for them. I know they're a $1 trillion company and everything, but it makes me fear for them that they could be so stupid as to not make it open and think that they could have a Windows Store machine.
But if they do it, and if they do it right.
Yeah, if they do it right,
old generation.
I can imagine just coming out and there just being shops with these piles of these things that, and also it has to be a moderate price. It can't come out at being a £900 handheld because nobody wants a £900 handheld. Just these £900 machines that only play Windows Store games. They don't play them very well. It's not good at all. And then after a year, they're just knocked down to £200, and even then, people are selling them off, and it would just be a complete disaster. Disaster.
So I feel like we've taken the Microsoft Xbox thing apart. I feel like we both agree. Let's talk about Meta.
Yes. What have we got? What's the date? We're recording this on the 12th.
Yeah.
Which I think, like you said, Happy National Video Game Day.
Yes, today. Happy National Video Games Day. Celebrating all things.
Celebrate by making 650 people redundant. Sorry, just to go back to Xbox. But so on the 12th so we've got 2 weeks today, quite possibly, and I'm quite excited for this, is going to be announced anyway, the Quest 3S. I think it'll be a shadow drop. I reckon they'll go, it's available, not that day, but maybe next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's photos of it out now, and there's
It's essentially a
photos.
bug-eyed Meta VR, isn't it?
It's got. Imagine the cameras on the back of a iPhone in
Mm,
that triangle shape, and
yeah.
it's got lots of those three triangles, those three cameras. Um, quite flat, so quite angled, um, but it's the same processor, but hands free, like no controllers, rumored, so keep the cost down. So it will be hand gesture controlled. How do you feel about that? Because you obviously, that would be a big no, wouldn't it?
Interestingly, so I was using.
Because it will be finger control,
Well, yeah, I still use a Quest 2.
I guess.
Okay. My sons both have a Quest 3. So I used their Quest 3 the other day. And I was using gesture control with my left hand. And my right hand obviously has no fingers. So, but I then flexed my right hand in the VR and it found fingers. Now, they
Okay.
didn't, it was really weird. So, for
I
the
can
first time,
imagine that was weird.
yeah,
Because
for the first
for
time ever, I had fingers.
clarification's sake, your no fingers is what you're born with.
Yes.
You haven't had
So,
an accident.
yeah. So it found fingers on my right hand in VR.
That's awesome.
And I spent ages
Weird.
going, oh, yeah, well, I spent ages going, wow, this is great, And I could press things and, it wasn't a problem. I couldn't pinch, but I could press things. And I was just like, this is amazing. If they could only adapt the tech to scan your hand before you started within the VR, it's a winner for people with disabilities as well as people who are able-bodied.
Hey, that's good. I mean, if it puts the fingers on to say, look here, and puts a visual representation of the fingers, then all you've got to do, because you don't. I mean, I'm not using my fingers when I'm doing hand gestures or it's picking up my hand. It's a virtual realize, so it's thinking where your fingers would be.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can imagine, obviously, it would be the same for you because you've got fingers on your left hand. So
Yeah.
it's not like you don't know what it's like to have fingers.
You say that, but here's the thing.
I can imagine it's still a bit weird.
Well, people say this to me all the time. Oh, it's no different. And I'm like, hang on, because where I don't have fingers, it's constantly numb. Okay.
Okay.
So the thought of being able to move fingers in that hand actually fascinates me. And yeah, it'll be exactly the same as moving fingers in my left hand.
Yeah, and hopefully it will be something that you'll be able to. Yeah, like you said, if it doesn't make any difference other than pinch gestures, if a game said do 2 pinch gestures, you'll just do 1 gesture, and it won't be a pinch.
Or all of them at once. You won't know which one.
Obviously, we're not on video anymore, so middle finger.
We're laughing at each other.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting one. And this new headset.
That's really good. I thought that would be a difficulty for you, but sounds like it might not be. But I'm really excited for this, and I'll tell you one reason why. Because I've heard rumors that it might be less than $300.
Yeah, I've heard the same.
Even if it's $300, that's pretty good.
I think we're going to see maybe like a 280 to 295 price range, something like that. So,
if you as well, if I could connect Quest 2 controllers to it, that'd be good because I've got some back there,
or even Quest 1.
Obviously, my stepson would be like, "Where's my controllers gone?"
Use your fingers.
I don't know. Yeah. But the fact that you can play things with hand gestures. Obviously, the only problem will be with games. You will need some kind of controller because you've got to have multiple controls that are easily accessible. And I think after using Connect and Connect 2.0, I don't know if they'd be that reactive that you could probably use them for a fast game.
No.
Yeah, something like Beat Beat Saber, yeah, perfectly. You could just go up, down,
Yeah.
not holding the controllers. Perfect. And as long as it is fast enough and responsive enough.
And you can use your Stadia controller as well.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be Bluetooth.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I'd be able to use any of my Bluetooth or Xbox controllers.
Yeah.
I presume PlayStation controllers as well.
Yeah, they'll work. They'll work. Tell you the one I'm interested in. So apparently, this upcoming event, and Mark Zuckerberg did hint at this, that he's going to show off the Project Orion AR glasses with the Neurolink band. So essentially, this is a set of AR glasses that look, or they hope to make them look like the Ray-Ban glasses, and they'll display visuals over and in front of your eyes and over buildings and streets, like directions and media, maybe even things like playing games on it, like Game Pass. But you'll have a band that sits on it connects to your wrist like a watch strap, and it will sense the movements in the deep nerves within your wrist to allow you to control things like a bit like you do on the Vision Pro, so pinch and tap, but it'll and it sounds amazing. And apparently they're going to show this tech off on this upcoming event, and that interests me in a gaming sense and in a tech sense. I think it'll be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now. There's a tech demo of a wristband, and it's basically somebody in a VR world, and they're pinching to control a block. So either twisting it one way, spinning it another, or getting it further away, picking it up. I don't quite. I'm quite. Sorry, there's a lot to read, so I can't quite.
Well, while you're reading it, if they can get that into a Ray-Ban glasses type design, they can do an AR overlay. So think Ready Player One style of, or even Blade Runner, where you're walking down the street and you're seeing an advertisement above a shop, or you say to the glasses, navigate to Waterstones in my high street, and then it navigates you to Waterstones with an over display direction thing. Or you get a phone call and you can see that person's visualization and they can see your surroundings rather than you. Or you can add things to calendar or play Game Pass while sitting at a bus stop or sitting on a train.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few interfaces here. One is a simple runner where they're just using their thumb to go from side to side. Another one is somebody's doing typing.
Yeah.
So this kind of thing. Another person, a picture. So it's a bit of it's not real, but somebody doing archery.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they announce it, yeah, I mean that.
Apparently, it's not ready for
really
release. We know they say it's not ready for release, but it is something they're working on. They want to show some of the tech off, and those that have seen it have been impressed. And one of the interesting ones is that when you put the glasses on, you can see in front of you perhaps Minecraft or a chessboard or something, and then you'll get a virtual representation of a friend that dials in to play the game, and they'll be seen as sitting on your sofa opposite you or next to you, and you'll only see them in the glasses, and they can interact with the game as well.
You can just imagine connecting to your friend. Right, connects. Oh, for God's sake, put some clothes on. Sorry.
I think it's going to be a piece of tech that will revolutionize mobile phones.
Yeah, I think it has the possibility. It's another one of these ones where it's going to work very well.
Yeah,
very well. Because there has been these kind of things before. It's got to have a good price.
We're talking
price.
Sub 300
or cares.
Yeah, we're talking sub £300.
£300 for a controller. If it was a controller to be used on other devices, no one's going to pay that. Now, if you said, here's a pair of glasses that you just put on, they just look like normal Ray-Bans, and you can sit and play, Call of Duty. You can play Hitman. You can play Minecraft. You can play Fortnite or whatever. then yeah, people for £300, people would.
Yeah, with the
love that.
Neurolink band to come with it. I mean, it's where Google wanted to go with Google Glass. I mean, that was their product that they wanted to create. But they did, and I was watching an interview with the creator of Google Glass and one of the team members, and they said we created a product, but it had no use. It was a throw it at the wall, see if it sticks.
The thing is, it was a phone.
It was a phone in a headset, and it
Yeah.
worked. It worked well.
Yeah. It had it did directions. You could take a picture, and that was a lot of people's problems. Was that it was very creepy.
Yeah, and now the Ray-Ban glasses can take a picture.
Exactly.
And no one cares.
There was such a big fuss over Google Glass and the fact that it was people's privacy and all this kind of thing. And now you've got Snapchat glasses. You've got the Ray-Ban glasses.
And no one gives a damn. And now you've got Google. You've got Google working on a new set of glasses, which may be a little bit of a way off, but they're ready. They're just not releasing them yet. And then you've got Meta that are potentially going to show off this new display in the Neuralink band. And this Neuralink band is something it's brand new. I mean, it's something that's unique to the market. And I have seen a couple of discussions in LinkedIn with people and been involved in some discussions with people that have seen it and tested it. And they say it's phenomenal. So we will see. Time will tell.
I mean, Meta have certainly invested a lot of money in VR and AR and all these kind of things. I mean, you're talking in the 11-figure sums. And then basically they've just made these are all losses because most of it, I think Quest hasn't even come close to breaking even. I mean, Quest has barely scratched the percentage.
But let's face it, if we go back to 2012 with the release of Google Glass, and we're all this way forward now, nothing has come close to the design usability of Google Glass except for Ray-Bans. And the Ray-Bans still don't come even close to usability because of the lack of display. So I mean,
there are other smart glasses out there, but none that probably integrated as well.
No, they're all shit, and they all look shit as well.
And the thing is, as well, if Google Glass came out that long ago, the hardware wasn't there. The hardware was not there to have a full what they probably wanted. So like gaming now, right now, if the 3S comes out and it's got full, it can pick up my fingers and I can type on in the middle of the air, and I can hold. Could you imagine holding a virtual controller? The thing is, you'd have to look at the controller, wouldn't you?
Well, apparently the Neuralink band allows you to just twitch your fingers or your wrist.
Yeah, I've seen the video. That was with the runner.
Yeah.
Where they just move their thumb to the side to
go to and you can just type onto a virtual keyboard. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. So
I mean, there are keyboardless keyboards. You can get laser keyboards right now where you could just type on any surface, but you still have to have a physical laser. Like thing sitting on your table that displays the keyboard.
But this will be different. So I'm excited. I think this transforms potential for low-level gaming, for mobile phones, for tech in general. And I think it will be the first product, if it's sub £300, will be the first product that Meta fully make a profit on release.
Or they'll have to. A lot of these things we're talking, they've invested money to basically so they can corner the market. And Mark Zuckerberg truly thinks that VR and AR and all this kind of thing is the future, and it possibly is. I think it is. I don't comment really because I'm not sure. I think wearables or handhelds are the future in terms of tech.
Yeah.
But there's going to be so many rubbish things. I mean, look at this AI. You saw that? What was that? Is it Rabbit AI or something like that?
Oh, terrible.
It was just a little AI sort of credit card sized thing that was announced, and people were like, that's not particularly great. And then when it came out, it was absolutely dire. Apparently, it didn't work, and that's it. Unfortunately, these things set the positivity of this tech sometimes back years. Yeah, this is going all the way back to ET on the Atari. Things like ET and other games killed gaming for sort of 3 or 4 years. And if it wasn't for the NES and all that kind of thing coming back and making gaming a big thing, we probably wouldn't be where we are now.
No, that's it.
And it's those kind of rubbish things where people just jump on trying to be the next big thing. Most times it ain't going to work. So that's why I'm quite, Facebook and Meta, doing all this research, everything. It does need somebody to go, hey, I've got loads of money. I really want to play games in a completely different way. Let's just throw a load of money and find a way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then they get a load of clever people to do all these things. And hopefully we'll have some tech that, hey, in the end, they might go, we don't actually want to do this. And hopefully Microsoft or Nintendo or Valve will go, oh, we'll have it.
I think it's something for the future. I don't think it's wearables in clothes. I mean, you've got jackets now that have the Back to the Future drying thing on them. They have built-in Bluetooth and things like that, but they're not catching on. They're not a thing.
Oh, could you imagine having fans in your trousers and something gets caught? Oh,
how hilarious!
Oh, I'd be like, okay, Google, I need my trousers drying.
Depends how big it is. But
I'll be all right.
Time will but tell. So let's have a look at some games that released on this day. So,
well, the one I noticed was Cooking Mama. Cooking Mama. I just couldn't believe that it is actually 18 years ago. It came out on the Nintendo DS.
Yeah,
it was one that obviously took brilliant advantage of having the touchscreen, and you just had to do some cooking, but it was actually really hard.
Yeah.
Some of the mini games were
Heavenly Sword on the PlayStation 3 17 years ago, so 2007.
That was the one that was meant to be the sort of big like new IP, wasn't it? And it just flopped.
It was visually amazing
at
the time. I mean, I remember me and my friend, he's no longer with us, unfortunately, but we sat there and we played that game. We got some so Sony were very kind to send us a PlayStation 3, and they sent us a bunch of discs for games for the first game release. I think we had about 8 discs, and we played that game, and it was phenomenal. And then we were playing Formula One and stuff like that, and it was amazing, the jump from the PS2. But yeah, really great memory. In 2007, man, I mean, crazy times. What else we got?
Well, I mean, wasn't Adventure Island one of the first? No, it was Adventure was the first game on the Atari, wasn't it? The first proper RPG.
Rule of the Rose on the PlayStation 2, one of the most expensive PlayStation 2 games. It was released 18, Rule of the Rose. It's 18 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Survival horror game.
Yeah. Well, very expensive.
When you say expensive, do you mean to like buy on? Oh, blimey. The first one that came up, PlayStation 2 PAL version, £899.
There you go.
Yes. There's a moderately cheap £350 as well.
Yeah. So if you ever see one at a boot sale and it's a couple of quid, buy it because it's worth it. So
the cheapest one I've found so far is £233. That's eBay UK. But other rest of them, no.
So Harvest Moon, What a Wonderful Life, 21 years ago. on the GameCube, and 18 years ago on the DS.
What was that?
Harvest Moon.
Oh, the original Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's sort of killed off there. It's farming, isn't it?
Mm.
Farming.
Yeah,
I've never actually played any of the Harvest Moon games, but there was, it sort of got killed. It wasn't killed off, but they just haven't brought any out. So, Animal Crossings and your Stardew Valley. I think it was Harvest Moon that the creator of Stardew Valley. I think he wanted his daughter to play. And they weren't making one, so he decided to make his own.
Make one for her. Yeah. Here's one I'll get you. I've skipped a day, so September the 13th. Dino Crisis 2 on the PlayStation 24 years ago.
24. I was going to say it was 99 or 2000. Blimey. Well, yeah, another one. PC version of Battlefield 1942.
Oh, Christ.
Now, don't forget, we had that was not the first game.
Yeah.
Of the Battlefield. That was still 22 bloody years ago.
Frankie.
22.
Wow.
I'm going backwards, you see. I'm going back. That's September the 10th. Gunstar Heroes, 31 years ago. Oh, of course. Oh, you see, we should have done a PlayStation. Because that, on September the 9th, 29 years. 29 years ago, 1995, the PlayStation came out.
Crazy.
And that had its refresh came more at the end of its life cycle, didn't it? It had the PS1, literally. The PlayStation 1 became the PS1, the little tiny curvy one. See, that was worthwhile because it went from this big cuboid thing that was good looking and everything for its age, for its time. But yeah, that refresh was worth it because it became small, thin, sexier, sort of cuter.
I've still got my original PlayStation in the loft.
Yeah,
I don't own a PlayStation 2 any longer. I sold that. But
see, the PlayStation 2, that refresh, the slim became slim.
Yeah. Didn't enjoy that though.
It didn't have it had the. Instead of a disc tray that came out, you just opened the top, didn't you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the original one. It was just something about the original that was
I think the originals of all of them. And then obviously the PS3 was like the PS5 was flipping huge.
Yeah.
So when they brought out the Slim, it was lighter. It was a bit noisier, I think, wasn't it? The slimmer versions because they got a bit hotter.
I'm going to leave you one last game releases. So I've skipped a couple of days. So September
Dreamcast 25 years ago.
Oh yeah, that anniversary is coming up. That should be our next episode.
Is September 9th. Maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah. Ultima, I think it's 5. 1V. Is that 5?
1V, that's 4.
Oh, 4. There we go. Quest of the Avatar. Have a guess how old it is.
Ultima 4. Oh, 9. I'm going to say 93. So 31.
Mate, you're well off. So, it was released on the Amiga and the Commodore 64.
Blimey. Okay, so
39 years ago.
39, and that was number 4, blimey.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's a busy time, September, actually, for history, because you looked at Dino Crisis 2. You know what else came out on that day? 19 years ago, Super Mario Brothers for the Game Boy Advance. For the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance version.
Crazy.
Because the NES version is a lot older than 2005.
Yeah. So, on that age-defying note, I think we've come to the end of today's episode.
Yep, we've been rabbiting on for an hour and 10 minutes. So let us know what you are looking forward to in terms of Microsoft, whether it's a handheld. Are you looking forward to the 3S? Are you going to buy the PlayStation 5 Pro? Why? I don't know why they would. But anyway, on that note,
like, subscribe.
Like and subscribe. That's the one. And subscribe. Focusongaming.co.uk.
Pop on our Facebook page. Get involved in the chat.
Yep. And
we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.